Welcome to this video about Hiarcs Chess Explorer Pro 1.4. Hiarcs runs on both Mac and on Windows, and ChessBase 18 runs on Windows. Of course, you can create a special environment within a Mac to run Windows, but that slows down the whole system. So Hiarcs is the real native Apple database management system. And today I'm going to compare the two. When you think about a database management system, there are basically three things. You have the program itself to search in the databases. Then the second thing is that you have the databases, and the third thing is the openings book. So this is the main menu of Hiarcs Chess Explorer, and you can see the tabs. I have currently opened the Mega Database 2025, the Correspondence Database 2024, my own Games Database Han New, the Hallucinations, a new chessable course that I'm working on, and the broadcast of Tata Steel that is currently going on. So today I'm going to cover some basic functions. So how do you search for games and positions? How to create a database of your own games and analyze and annotate games. How do you prepare for an opponent? How do you do opening analysis using a database management system, and how do the broadcasts compare between ChessBase 18 and Hiarcs. So I will be switching back and forth between Hiarcs and ChessBase 18 so you can get a feel for the difference in functionality. So this is my screen for ChessBase. So here on top you see the correspondence database and the mega database. So the mega database has 11.2 million games at the moment, and the correspondence database has about 2.2 million games. Then you can see I have completely digitalized the step methods, so all these shoes are chess steps lessons, and then there are additional files for mix and extra. In addition, in ChessBase I have the games of my students, so they have all a separate file, and then I have my chessable courses as separate files. So personally I have about 200 to 250 databases in ChessBase. So let's look at the mega database. So you saw I have it in Hiarcs and it operates without any issue. It's 11 million games. And the mega database comes out every year in November with an update, and it also comes with a subscription service. So I'm going to show you first how this works. So here we have the function new games. I press it and it says one game update available, install. I said okay. And now it is importing the games to the mega database, which is my reference database, and it's completing the search booster. Done. And it's about 5,000 games. So it's about 250,000 games a year. So now let's switch back to Hiarcs. Here's the mega database, and let me show you how it works in Hiarcs. I go to import, and you can see here, this is today, 117, update 11. So it was released yesterday. I double click, and we have imported 6,000 games into the mega database 2025. So fast and very easy. So Hiarcs is perfectly handling other formats, like in this case the CBH format of ChessBase. And I update every month the correspondence database with the games of the International Correspondence Federation. So the second thing you see here is the Hiarcs book. So this book is a book with 32 million positions. So these are not games, right? So I have in the mega database 11 million games, but I have a tree, an opening book with 30 million positions. And if I just go to here to a position that I have, right? So you can see here the tree of the mega database, and this is a game that I played. If we go into this tree, you can see that the Hiarcs book gives recommendations. So bishop e3 here is a best move, a very good move. f4 is a very good move, but king h1 is a worse move. And the special thing about this Hiarcs book is that it's based on engine games, correspondence games, and top grandmaster games. And it is of exceptional quality, and I will show you later when we go to the broadcast. Because if you think about the humans, of course, and their chess, engines have taken over as the strongest players in the world. But there is not an engine database where you would say, give me the best engine games. So this is a perfect substitute. And to find what has been played in engine games, so you don't have the full game, but you have positions with recommendations. Hiarcs also comes with others, like Grandmaster Plus database. And here you can see the different moves that has been played, f4 and bishop e3, right? And then you can see the performance of the different moves. So here you can see the performance. So to start with, when you look at a database management system, we have the program to do searches and to manipulate databases and to build databases. Then we have the database itself, and then we have opening books, opening trees, which are positions and not games. Okay, so that's the first part. Let me show you the pricing of those two. So when you look at the Hiarcs tournament book that I'm using in ChessBase and I'm using in Hiarcs, it has an annual price of $50 or 44 euros at the moment. And you get quarterly updates, and it is the best openings book that is available. And this is what I use to accelerate the development of my courses. You could, of course, say, why don't I let Stockfish 17 run for 10 minutes? You could do that, but then every move would take you a lot of time. So my way of developing courses is that I use Lichess for the human perspective, and I use the opening book of Hiarcs to accelerate and select my moves, and then I verified myself later on with analysis using Stockfish 17 and Lila Chess 0. If we look to the mega database, when you buy it, it is 230 euros initially. It sounds like a lot of money, but of course, in my situation where I'm currently at, I buy the upgrade, and so the upgrade and because I live in the United States, I don't pay VAT, is 84 euros. And then in November, they have always one day where they offer a 25% discount. So in the end, it is somewhere between 60 and 65 euros, between 65 and $70 most of the time. And this mega database, besides having this subscription service with 5,000 games each week, it also includes 113 annotated games, as you will see shortly. There are alternatives which are cheaper, like for instance Opening Master, which is 59 euros. You could buy that instead of paying the 229, and then you get a year of updates, monthly updates, and after that you could update it with the Week in Chess. In general, so let's go back to the mega database. In general, I have to say, people say that's these programs and databases, they cost so much money. But I like to have my infrastructure in place. If I compare it, for instance, to playing a weekend tournament in the United States, entry fee, travel, hotel cost, food, it's easily between $500 and $1,000. So for me to spend, let's say, half of that amount in getting the proper infrastructure for my chess is worth it. And I think the main question is not about the cost, but the main question is about, are you really going to use it? And is it too much for you as a chess player, or is it worth it? So let's look at some functions, right? So here we see the mega database, and let's go here and say search the header, right? And you can see here, imagine that I'm interested in a game by Magnus Carlsen that he played for the World Championship against Nepomniachtchi. And that game was played in 2021. And there were 2 games that he won, right? So I'm interested in Magnus winning, and that was game 6 and 8. And I would like you just to show how long it takes in Hiarcs to find this game. So there we go, right? And you can see here that 5 games are there immediately, right? And I can go to game number 6, the very important game, and it's loaded here. And you can see here the annotations by Anish Giri that he did for the Mega Database 2025, and which are part of the 113,000 annotated games. So this is like instant, right? And then just to show you, let's start from scratch, right? Because of course there was Nepo had it was an almost 8-hour game, right? And let's look at this position, right? And let's say we see this position and we don't know from which game this is. And we would like to search for this position. And of course, I mean, I can write, I mean, if I look to the tree of all games, it already shows it here. And if I go here, browse games, right, it shows me that it's from this game. So, but this is just to show you how it would work. If I were to say database and find position, right? And I would just say, I would say empty board, right? And I would recreate it. Because people, of course, are asking themselves, like, how fast is the search in a program like this, right? I can do find position, And then you see, without any delay, immediately the game here. So very fast. And of course, right, so let me go to ChessBase, go to the hard disk, right, and I can say set filter by players, right, and I can say here I have Carlsen, Magnus, and I have here Nepom, Nyachi, Ian. The result was 1-0. And then, right, I would like to, let's see, any date. So I'd like to have it in 2021. And then it says here, it's already finished searching, right, in 15 milliseconds. And here it shows the 5 games. And then I can select the game that I want and take it from there. So, of course, it's you will not be surprised if you do a search in a database that it will be extremely fast, because that's what these databases are made for, and all the games have been and positions have been indexed, and there are multiple tags in the system, so you can search on all kind of dimensions like pawn structures and maneuvers, and there are infinite possibilities. So this is for searching your own, searching for games and positions. So if you look to, it's completely extremely fast. So let's go back to creating a database of your own games, analyze and annotate, right? So here you can see this game that I played in the Alto tournament. And let's just go, first, what do we see here? We see the moves. And like I said, I prefer here, when you select the book, to have this book where the best engine, correspondence and top GM games are being used. And I compare it to the tree of the mega database. So you can see here what has been played most of the time. And you can, right? And then I look at the evaluation graph, of course, and what happened here. And right, so after A5, basically says that I missed an important move. And what I did not explain yet is that, of course, I can add an engine. And you can see here the engines that I have within Hiarcs: Stockfish 17, Lila Chess 0. Of course, you need a strong GPU for that. Then Deep Hiarcs 15.4. More than 50 rating points stronger than the previous version. And then I have here also Dragon 3.2. I think in practice I work most with Stockfish 17 and ask for a second opinion now and then by Lila Chess 0. So here we have the engine, right? So after F5, right? I mean, if I click the engine, it shows me the move I missed, right? And if I like, I can draw arrows, and of course all this fun is also here. And I can, I can analyze it like this, looking at the evaluation graph and important moments. Special about the Hiarcs environment is that I can select moves to analyze. So at the moment, right, I can say analyze just the moves queen takes a5 and queen e3. So you can kind of steer the engine in a certain direction. And I know that Matthew Sadler is a fan of this, and that's one of the reasons why he is using Hiarcs from time to time, because he can kind of control the flow of the analysis better, because he can select the moves to analyze. And you can have multiple, of course, you can have multiple engines at the same time. And of course, when you look at, right, you can also analyze the game. Right, you select the engine, you can select the mode, right, you can average time per move, average time per game, fixed search. You can select the scope. So there are, of course, as you expect, a lot of possibilities for analyzing your own games, annotating them, and then storing them. So this is what I showed also in ChessBase. I have this with my own games database, and then for my students I have a separate database. They upload it to Lichess, and then I download it to ChessBase. So let's have a look at how that compares. So you have here the book, you have the tree of the mega database, and you have the evaluation and then the analysis all in one overview very nicely. And within the analysis you can select the moves if that's relevant to the position to analyze more deeply. So if I go to ChessBase and I go to my own games and I select the first game, you can see that ChessBase is creating the graph. And here you can see, right, if we go to the same position, you can see that, right, I can add my default kibitzer, which is Stockfish 17. And then it shows that after a5, I should have played this move. Yes. And then if I'm interested, for instance, in a later stage to see, okay, I played this game, and right, so we have here the position, and I would like to see if this ever occurred in another game. You can see there was one game here between Karpachev and I can right click and copy it to the notation, and then it has been inserted in my game. So this is the way to, right, so this is in a very late stage there. The 2500 player won the game, but their opponent played, played in this case bishop f5. And I was not able to, miss the tactic queen takes a5 in this position, and later on I was not able to convert it with the pawn up. So in the end my game ended in a draw. What is different here? So when I go here, right, if I just go and there is here this body engine, and this body engine looks at the position from the other side, so it allocates some computer power to look at the threats of the opponent, and you can also see that here ChessBase is trying to give some verbose commentary. So in both systems you will not be surprised. You can create your database of your own games, analyze them, annotate them in every different way, and just also to show you here, so where were we here, right? We were in an earlier stage. Yeah, yes, so here you can see, also here you can see the one game that I found in ChessBase. If I go to browse games, I can say insert into current game just as easy as in ChessBase. So the full functionality is there. So now the question is right, if you have 11 million games and you're going to play in a FIDE tournament and you like to prepare for your opponent, you'd like to see their what they play. And of course, I mean, it starts, if I go back to the mega database, right, I have a view here with Player Explorer. And if I go to myself, immediately you get here a lot of statistics about what I'm playing. But of course, when I prepare for an opponent, I would like to do it a different way. So I can go into, let's say I play the Sicilian and then go from there. What you can also, of course, do is say search the header, right? So we say reset, right? Let's say here white is schut, right? And then I can say search. Basically, I'm looking for all the games that, and you can say, well, I'm interested in all the games that have been played and irrespective of the result. And so now I create, you could say, a filter. So there are 1045 games found, and you can now, right, if I just go back all the way to the beginning, right, if you can see here, this is of course the complete database, but if I go into the filter, you can see that I always play e4, and just close the evaluation, and then you can see the tree for Hans Schut as playing white with the performance, right? So how am I doing for each, for every opening? How do I perform against e4, e5, how do I perform against e4, c6, and so on. And then you can browse the tree and see how that compares. So very easy to prepare for an opponent. You can do it in one click and then drill down, or you can just make a filter and then start analyzing from there. How does that compare to ChessBase? So let's go to ChessBase and let's go to the mega database. So here's the mega database, right? You go to players, right? Here is my entry. And if I right click, I say prepare against white, and then ChessBase will create a tree, and you can see here basically the score against every line. And please note that I played a lot. This includes a lot of Title Tuesday games where I'm playing opponents which are rated, let's say 200 or 300 points higher, and that's why the score is so low. And yeah, so this is how it looks in ChessBase. Both work, in my opinion. I think if you go to Hiarcs, I think what is more here is that the actual performance is given, but on the other hand, in ChessBase, some other information is given. So both work completely well. You can use it to search for games and positions. You can create a database of your own games, analyze and annotate. You can prepare for an opponent. And then, of course, opening analysis. So let's go to ChessBase and let me show you how typically databases and chessable courses are being created. So here you can see the Hallucinations, a new course I'm working on. And you can see here, right, we have 22 lines at the moment for the 4 pawns attack. And when we go in here, right, we selected the line, the aggressive line, to play d5 here, and we get to this position, knight d4. And if you go to reference, right, we look at in the mega database what has been most commonly played. You see that 2 moves, bishop d7 and bishop g6. But for our chessable courses, for us the human perspective is very important. So what we do is, you see here Lichess, we go to the, we look in Lichess and we select our rating range from 1600 to 2500, rapid and classical. And then we look at what's the most played move here. And you can see 49% it is bishop g6, which is a blunder, and 45% is bishop g7. But as we are creating books for club players, we cover both lines, and we don't make bishop g6 just a footnote noting that it's a bad move, but we think it's practical for a club player to be able to have a trainable variation on that, because it's the most commonly played move in rapid and classical on Lichess between 1600 and 2500. So in general, you can see that Lichess is of course still a very great source for human games. And even, right, if you look at how it continues, so our line ends here, you can see here, right, after the final move in our course, we have to think about what do we have to address in terms of commentary after you have finalized your training of your variation. You can see 59% black takes here, and that's of course a huge blunder because knight e6 wins the queen. So black overlooks the threat of knight e6 in this position. But we will cover definitely king g8 and knight takes d5. And then of course we also look at what's being played at the end of this line. Right, so we go here and we say, what are the most commonly played moves? You can see it's king g8 and knight takes d5. So also just to compare, so you can see there are here 56 games, right? If I go back to Lichess and I say, so in the master database, how does it compare? There are 6 games. So the master database, 6 games. And if I look to the mega database, we have 56 games. So Lichess database is of course 2200 and up, and in the database, the ChessBase database, the mega database, there are also weaker opponents. How does this look in, you can see here, right? After knight d4, you can see here, of course, the same information, and you can see here the book, but you can see here the book and the tree in one overview, which is very handy. And it's not in different tabs where you go from one tab to the other tab and then have to find out and to remember it. So you don't have to go to reference and openings book, but you have it, right? So here it's in one overview, and in ChessBase, if I return here, right, you have the reference tab and you have the opening step. So let me just go back to the relevant position. So knight d4, right? I can go to openings book or I can go to reference, but it's in different tabs. And in Hiarcs, I have it in one overview, which is, I think, more friendly. So let's have a look at the Tata Steel tournament that is going on. So you can right? If you look here, there's a file and you say open URL, right? And you can just open an URL for a PGN that is currently going on, and then it gets automatically updated with moves. And so this is round one, and this is also just to show why I like to watch these games on Hiarcs. So this is the game between Mendoza and Keimer, and you can see, right, after 17F4, there's one game in the tree of the mega database, and if I go here, so browse games, I see the game. It was between Robbie Kashvili and Setumaro. I can insert it in the current game, right? So in the broadcast, I can pick up the game in which this position occurred, and which is kind of the reference game. Then I see that if I look to the engine games, right, that d4 is suboptimal and queen b6 is actually the best move here. And we see what happens also in the evaluation graph, right? So here, if I add Stockfish 17, right, we can have a look at what Stockfish 17 is saying, right? So at the moment it's saying that it is equivalent, but Hiarcs, which of course analyzes the book at a deeper level, prefers queen b6, and we can see here that after d4 there are no more games, but the engine book continues, right? So there's still a book here, a game from an engine game that says that white should continue with 18 castle, and you can see by the rating 3100 that this has been played in an engine game before, and white played actually this move here. So for me, when I'm looking at games, right, I can of course, if we go a little bit further back, let's say I'm here. Okay, this is too early, right? I can switch in the tree of the mega database. I would say what is being played in correspondence games. So I can look at the correspondence games. I can look at what the engine openings book and the correspondence openings book combined says it's the best move here, right? Bishop d3. And that gives a lot of information while you're watching a broadcast. So how does that compare to ChessBase? So let me close the Hallucinations. And let's go to Play Chess. Right. So you can see here we have the Tata Steel Masters. So I open it up. You can see that you are getting the 7 games. And let's go to the game that we discussed, right? And let's go to, you can see it's being kind of auto-annotated. And so here we have this move, right? F4, and then after 2 minutes and 9 seconds of thought, Keimer played here d4, which is according to the openings book suboptimal, but still close to equality. And if I add a default keybaitzer, just to show you, right? It shows here the analysis of the position. So also in ChessBase I can add a keybaitzer, and you can see here the body is giving the threat because it's looking from the other side. So it's saying actually the threat here is bishop takes g2 after the move d4. So it looks from the black perspective as if black was able to play another move. So what I just wanted to show you is what I hate about ChessBase, one of the things, right? So you can see in my settings here, I have do not connect automatically and do not use my Play Chess account name. Every time that a move is being played in a broadcast, it connects. So it's impossible almost, right, to watch a broadcast while your settings stay disconnected, because every time that a move is played, it is being reconnected, and I don't know what they're doing with my Stockfish 17 analysis at the moment, and whether that ends up in the cloud of ChessBase, and because in the end they have a live book, right? And in their live book they show the evaluations, and this is based on all the analysis by users that are watching and are sharing their analysis. And I reported this to ChessBase, but it went into a black hole and they never replied. Apparently they find this normal that you get connected each time a move is made, despite the fact that your settings are do not connect. So there are things with the service of ChessBase. So this is the comparison, and of course one of the things I'm missing, and I didn't show that, right? So if I look to here the tabs, right? If I go back to the game that we were discussing, right? If I would just go to this position, I cannot see in which game this was played, right? So I can look at the openings book, which is the Hiarcs openings book in ChessBase, right? While I'm watching online, but there is no way for me to look at in which games this was played. And I think that's really missing functionality. You can see it on Lichess. I love it that in Hiarcs I can see in which games this has been played, whether a player has played this before, right? I can search on, for the strongest player or for the player, see if Mendoza has played this before, for instance, right? And then I can insert the relevant games into the broadcast, and that gives a completely different experience. So besides the fact that every time a move is being played, I'm being reconnected if I have my engine on, I also cannot see, I cannot see in which games a position has occurred before. So you might ask yourself, why am I still using ChessBase? Of course, there's history. When I look at, of course, when you look at this environment, right? Imagine that you have 250 files. Then the tabs become a bit of a handicap, right? So for me to work with Hiarcs, I cannot have 250 tabs. So what I would have to do is every time that I, for instance, prepare for a student, is open the relevant databases and keep them really structured. But it's not like in ChessBase at the moment where I have them all in one screen and I can just double click and I have them open. I would have to organize that in, you could say, a file explorer. The second thing, of course, that's very specific to the step method, in the step method, you have exercises that you could say are illegal, right? So this is route planner. So give a safe check. So there is here a rook on c6 and has to check the king. And the question is, what is a safe route to check the king? And Hiarcs doesn't like positions that are illegal. And you can see actually, right, this is like a training mode in ChessBase, because I can just, right, I can completely do anything I like, and that gives me the flexibility. If you have exercises like this, like route planner, to do them. Of course, that's a very specific use. Illegal positions, because you want to do something like a route planner for board vision and to practice the safety of pieces with children. And then the magnitude of the number of databases. If I were to have, let's say, the mega database, my own database, and some opening files, and then, of course, it's very easily to maintain. So let's go to the pricing of the different products. So if we go to ChessBase and we just look at ChessBase, right, and we just look at the program all by itself. So here you can see the comparison for ChessBase. So it's 200 euros, right? If I don't package it with the mega database or the big database, which is the mega database without any annotations, there are 113,000 annotations. So it's 200 euros. And then you get a ChessBase account for 12 months premium. So that's, and then we saw that in addition, of course, if you want to have the mega database, it's 230. You can start packaging, right? You can see, okay, if I want to have both, it's 350 euros, and then you start saving because you package. Now let's go to Hiarcs. Right, and we say, let's look at the version. It's 150 euros, so 50 euros cheaper. And then you get the first year online book access. You get, right, so, and you get those, you get online endgame table bases. You get a master database with 660,000 games. And it's completely compatible with all the PGN and ChessBase format. So the difference is 50 euros. And then the base package has more functionality for Hiarcs. Of course, the other major thing is that this is available for Mac, and ChessBase is not native in Mac. So what is the overall conclusion? I like Hiarcs is fast, less buggy than ChessBase. It's cheaper. It has the full functionality that 99% of the people need. And it's cheaper, and it's available for the Mac environment. Are there users who would still like to use ChessBase? Well, you can see, like in my case, if you have many files, like 250 and over, and you are historically a ChessBase user, it will take a lot of effort to get that reorganized and get that properly set up in a file system so you can work very efficiently in Hiarcs. Yes, a few more things. I mean, if you think about, right? So if I go to my own game, and this is the madness that is currently going on, right? So you can see now they have a ChatGPT summary of every player. It says here Hans Schut is a Dutch chess player who holds the title of FIDE Master. Incorrect, because I'm a candidate master. Born on September 8, 1960. Incorrect, because I was born in 1964 in April. Schut has represented the Netherlands in various national and international tournaments. Incorrect. Throughout his career, Hans Schut has demonstrated a solid playing style. Well, I'm a hacker and I like to attack, so not a solid playing style. So this is just a random. And of course you can say this is a large language model that is hallucinating, but who is accountable for this misinformation? And why do you spend your development time on including this in a database management system? In addition, just to share one other experience with ChessBase, when they were on ChessBase 17 and it was version 25 or 26, I opened the database and it got completely corrupted by the ChessBase software. I contacted ChessBase and they said, yes, we know, multiple users have this. So I lost 500 exercises that I had to manually recreate. No apology, no workaround how to get that corrupted file working again, no compensation for the many hours that you have to spend to recreate 500 exercises. So it's a very peculiar service organization and not very customer focused. I learned my lesson. So when you choose to have ChessBase after all, make sure that you have backups. And I was thinking myself naively that a backup on the cloud would be sufficient because I didn't expect the database system itself to corrupt my files. I expected that if my PC would crash, that I would have to have a backup in the cloud. Well, unfortunately, that was not true, so I learned my lesson. And to conclude, Hiarcs Chess Explorer 1.4 is here. It's a complete alternative to ChessBase. All the functions are there. You can search for games, positions. You can create databases of your own games, analyze, annotate in multiple ways. You can prepare for opponents. You can do your opening analysis. You can watch broadcasts. I really like the product, and I hope that you give them a chance, because I think also it's very good if we break the monopoly of ChessBase and Hiarcs gets more resources to continue to develop. Thank you for your attention and have a nice day.